Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're taking what usually feels like a completely dry compliance topic and turning it into your ultimate decoder ring for ISO 14001-2026. If you've ever felt completely overwhelmed by auditing jargon or just buried under duplicate management systems, and let's be honest, who hasn't experienced that specific brand of corporate dread, you're in exactly the right place. We're going to unpack the architecture that is fundamentally changing how modern organizations handle compliance. It's time to stop the paperwork madness and start building something that actually works.
Here's our game plan for today. We'll hit the integration challenge, look at the high-level structure, align the 10 clauses, decode some terminology, and wrap it all up with the real strategic benefits.
All right, part 1, the integration challenge and how we finally escape audit fatigue. We really have to start by acknowledging the absolute nightmare of managing siloed compliance systems.
I mean, seriously, why do we audit in silos? Have you ever stopped to wonder why we separate quality, environment, and safety when they're so tangled up in everything we do every single day? Just picture a floor manager running a piece of heavy machinery. Tuesday, boom, an environmental auditor is grilling you on emissions. Wednesday, quality comes knocking about product specs. Thursday, safety's there reviewing lockout-tagout procedures. It's literally the exact same machine in the same week, but you're hit with 3 totally different audits. Historically, we've built separate procedures and separate monitoring frameworks for all of these. It creates this massive, frustrating administrative burden and just a total lack of clarity for the people actually doing the work.
It's like night and day when you compare how we used to do things with how we can do them now. With siloed systems, you're battling that exact audit fatigue I just described. You're duplicating procedures and dealing with fragmented goals that usually end up competing for the very same resources. Integrated systems, on the other hand, flip the script completely. They give you unified audits, a holistic view of your organizational risk, and they beautifully streamline your resources so you aren't wasting time writing the exact same manual 3 different ways.
So what's the actual solution to this rampant fragmentation? That brings us to Section 2, the high-level structure, or what I like to call the universal DNA.
The high-level structure, you'll also hear it referred to as the Annex SL framework, is not just more administrative red tape, I promise. It is literally the universal DNA that lets you build completely different disciplines right on top of the exact same foundational architecture. This is huge. Whether you're dealing with ISO 14001 for environment, 9001 for quality, or 45001 for health and safety, they now all share a unified clause sequence, common terminology, and most importantly, identical core text. Because those first 10 clauses are identical in sequence, you can finally design a single, elegant framework instead of juggling 3 competing ones. You can stop treating environmental or safety management like these isolated, weird add-ons to your business. This structure lets you tackle all these critical requirements simultaneously, completely eliminating the headache of duplication from your workflow.
Let's map this out in Section 3, aligning the 10 clauses to see how this blueprint actually works in practice.
Think about how perfectly this adapts across different priorities. Take Clause 4 on organizational context, or Clause 6 on planning. The structure works seamlessly whether you're trying to prevent product defects, pollution, or workplace injuries. In 14001, you're analyzing environmental conditions. In 9001, it's market conditions, and in 45001, it's workplace hazards. The subject changes, sure, but the structural approach is exactly the same. Or look at Clause 8 for operational control. One integrated process can run a dust suppression system that stops environmental pollution, protects your workers' lungs, and keeps dust out of your sensitive products. One system, 3 huge wins.
Why on earth would you pay 3 separate teams to do overlapping, redundant work when you can have one multidisciplinary powerhouse? This alignment creates massive real-world efficiencies. We're talking about running a single audit cycle across the whole facility. You can manage one combined risk register instead of 3 spreadsheets that don't even talk to each other. Plus, integrated management reviews that actually look at your comprehensive performance. It's a total game changer for saving time.
But to build this integrated house, we all have to speak the exact same language. Let's decode that in Section 4. Decoding terminology, your Rosetta Stone.
Think of Annex A.2 as your Rosetta Stone. It definitively translates all that notorious standard jargon to stop frustrating auditing misinterpretations in their tracks. See, the high-level structure is designed to fit a local bakery just as well as a massive aerospace manufacturer, so the language is intentionally broad. That flexibility is great in theory, but in practice, it creates a lot of ambiguity.
Without this guide, you could easily create mountains of useless paperwork just because someone misread a single word. Annex A2 bridges that gap.
Here's the absolute classic example, shall versus should. This is honestly one of the most costly misinterpretations out there. When the standard says an organization shall establish a system, people tend to panic and print these massive rigid binders. But Annex A.2 clarifies that shall just means the outcome is mandatory. The method? Totally up to you. It could be a digital workflow, a quick flowchart, whatever works. Should, on the other hand, is merely a recommendation. Mixing those two up leads to a ton of wasted effort on things that are really just suggested best practices.
Then there's the concept of risk. Risk-based thinking isn't just about dodging disasters like a chemical spill or an injury. It's equally about seizing positive environmental opportunities. This is a massive mindset shift for ISO 14001:2026. If you only see risk as a negative hazard, you're missing half the picture. Annex A.2 reminds us that risk includes opportunities for real innovation, like adopting renewable energy or redesigning for the circular economy. It turns compliance from a defensive chore into a proactive, competitive advantage.
Oh, and we definitely can't forget proportionality. This is such a huge relief for smaller businesses. It basically means ISO 14001 doesn't expect a 10-person design firm to have the same crazy level of documentation as a multinational chemical plant. The depth of your processes should naturally match your actual environmental impact and your organizational complexity. It keeps things realistic and completely stops over-auditing in its tracks.
So what happens when you put all these pieces together? Let's check out Section 5, the strategic benefits of harmonization, building the integrated house.
When you follow these steps, unifying your terminology, integrating risk-based thinking, and conducting holistic audits, you can finally evaluate strategic trade-offs clearly. Imagine you roll out a new manufacturing tech that boosts product quality, but it happens to use way more energy and requires new safety gear. An integrated system lets leadership see that trade-off instantly. And when you audit it, you're looking at the entire life cycle at once, instead of sending 3 different inspectors over 3 different months.
Quality, environment, and safety just flawlessly lock together to form one complete, unified management system. When you leverage the high-level structure and the clarifications in Annex A.2, these departments aren't fighting each other for budget or leadership attention anymore. They literally become interconnected gears in the exact same machine, driving profound resilience for the whole business.
The standard itself actually gives us this really profound reminder. Breaking down these silos is ultimately about achieving true sustainable development. We aren't harmonizing clauses just to make auditors happy. We're doing it to balance our economic performance with our environmental footprint and our social responsibility to our teams. That balance is the real heart and intent of ISO 14001:2026.
So I'm going to leave you with this question to chew on. Now that you actually have the decoder ring, how are you going to use it to stop auditing in silos and start integrating today? The framework is literally right there waiting for you. It's time to build a management system that serves your organization's future instead of just logging its past. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.